All right, so I'm playing around in here to see if I get the right kind of movement and stuff. I'm cleaning up my work table. Went out of screen there a second. That may happen because I'm a little new at this. But I had a little coaxing yet again from the gang. If it's not Dawn, it's my darling Abe, who says I should be a vlogger. I can't even get a podcast off the ground, and these two already have me on to my next endeavor. But nonetheless, I do have a studio space, which is tremendous. It brings me as much joy as the garden does, and we all know how that makes my boat float. And usually for me, like the highlight of Christmas season is always the making of gifts. I, for years, have toiled in my studio at this time of year, and I've made Christmas ornaments, and I've, reinvented old wreaths and, deconstructed and reconstructed. And so I was up in the attic, and I was doing a little cleaning out because I'm not going to decorate to the level that I normally do. I usually host a fairly incredible Christmas Eve open house, and I did not do it last year because I was traveling west, and this year, of course, we are in the midst of COVID. So I decided to be kind of light on my Christmas decor upstairs. But while I was in the attic, I discovered some old wreaths and decided that I was gonna pull some stuff apart and create some fun stuff. So stay tuned. When we meet again, I will be assembling some fun trees. Howdy gang, I'm back. Of course I get completely sidetracked. It's the nature of how it works for me when I am in my studio. I, get to cleaning a corner and discover something. I was cutting the calendar sheets from a spiral calendar, and as the little spiral hit the ground, take a look at that little spiral. As it hit the ground, I thought, well, isn't that interesting? What can I do with it? So I just smash it into a little wreath shape. And then, because I'm kind of like a creative hoarder, supply hoarder, every time I see something that intrigues me in any of the big box stores, hardware stores, any of the art and craft stores, if for whatever reason it stops me, I usually buy it. And then I'll sit on things forever. Because of that, people knowing this about me will also buy me little notions and whatnot. Gino gave me these little copper gift tags that he had come upon at one point. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take this little metal wreath, and I am going to paint it green, fuse it on there, tie a little bow on it, and make a little gift tag Christmas ornament. This is the kind of stuff that happens to me while I'm in the studio, so really it was pretty simple, not particularly advanced. The other thing that I've been doing is, in that same vein, whenever I do see things that I think have merit, I was recently in one of the art stores, crafting stores, and there were these little like kind of drawer boxes. Well, it was really that exterior box that I was wanting. So I bought 4 of them, and then thought, well, what am I going to do with this little portion? So I took this little portion, and I painted it kind of a gray wash. The heart is still present, but we're going to work on that. I glued a little foil into it, and then I put some skewers and made a little tree topiary shape. I will now start to cover them with pine and turn them into these little tree topiaries. This one actually has a little surprise. I lit it with these little lights are so fun, these little LED lights. But this is one of the other things that I've just been tweaking and working on. When I was up in the attic and I told you that I was busting up garland, I started to rip all the garland from old wreaths apart so that I could assemble these trees, which is pretty simple. Once you get your box, whatever your vessel is, in my case it was the little interior drawer of these great boxes, which we'll get another use for. I cut a little packing foam. I didn't even use floral foam. I had the packing foam in the garage from something that came from God only knows what mail order, and I thought, I'm not wasting that. Glued it in there, left an alcove, or rather a cavity in the bottom, knowing that I'm going to ultimately wire them with this little LED light pack, and you see this just kind of will pop out, just basically wedge right back in there. Once that's settled where it's going, that will be completely concealed. But anyways, when you get to this part, you just take strips of garland or old wreaths. In my case, this was an old garland. And then you just coil it around and coil it around. You just keep twisting it on each stick all the way up. All the way up. Like that. And then you just start to scrunch it down. You'll get that to fill all the way in. When we come back, I will show you how I finish off that top where I took some pipe cleaner and a little glue, a little hot glue gun, and made sure that that would stay into a secure topiary shape. We're getting almost to completion. As you see, I've coiled this pine all the way up the topiary form. I'm at the very last little bits. It's a little tricky when you get to the top because you don't have a lot of hand room anymore. The entrance is a little more tight. So when you get to that and you see that really what's left is that little area that I glued and created the form, I'll take a long piece like this and I will go through like that, and I will bring it up, pull it up tight like that, and I'll twist it. And I'll take one and I'll go around my little twist like that, creating the point of the tree. I've decided that I think maybe I like this better without the lights. Sometimes lights are, oh, the squeal of that foam is intense. Sometimes I think lights can be a little tacky town, and you can all weigh in and tell me if you think this is tacky town, maybe, as the battery pack falls out. I think I'm gonna just keep it a tree. So now I'm gonna get to the final portion of this, which is how do I fill in, this still exposed foam? What do I add to adorn this? Pine cones, ribbon, I don't know. We're gonna come up with what our final decoration is when we return. Well, I'm back and I'll show you what products I used to decorate this little tree. You know how it started off like that with the exposed heart and the little well for the lighting underneath. Then there was a conversation within myself, since I'm here alone, do I like the lights or not? And in the end, opted for no lights. What I used was a great striped ribbon that I had had forever and a day. Look at the edge of that roll. That's been around for God only knows how long. Some pine cones that I've had that I whitewashed a couple days ago with just white spray paint primer because it's a matte and it's what I had, but you could use a flat white spray paint. And then these are the little thistle center to the cornflowers from my garden. And when I was cleaning up throughout the fall, I was harvesting these and drying them in the garage. I also gave them a little whitewash. And here is my end result. Here's my little tree. And I took that ribbon, and it's the ribbon that conceals that little heart. I did glue the ribbon like that, leaving this cavity if I choose to wire this with lights. I think in the end, I like it without it. Created a little ribbon, and then I just nestled in some pine cones, and I glued some of those thistles onto that. So right there is my little Christmas tree ornament from all the stuff that exists in my studio. It is always a joy to do this. Nothing makes me happier than being right here in this space, unless of course I'm in my garden. Thank you all.